My best friend borrowed money for her wedding, then told everyone it was a gift and blocked me when I asked for it. The truth came out in front of everyone. My best friend Lacey and I had been close since we were 15, so when she got engaged to her boyfriend Owen and told me she couldn't afford the wedding she wanted, I didn't even hesitate. Lacey and Owen had been together for about 3 years. He was fine. Not the kind of guy I would pick for her, but he made her happy, so I kept my mouth shut. They got engaged in October, and Lacey immediately started planning this big wedding. She wanted a venue with a garden, a live band, a photographer who charged by the hour, flowers everywhere, the whole thing. The problem was neither of them had the money for it. Owen worked at a warehouse, and Lacey was a receptionist at a vet clinic. They were barely covering rent every month. Lacey came to me in January and said she was thinking about pushing the wedding back a year because they just couldn't swing it. She was upset. She said Owen's mom kept pressuring them to do it sooner, and that she felt like a failure for not being able to afford her own wedding. I told her not to push it back. I told her I had savings and I could help. I had been putting money away from my job for 3 years because I was planning to eventually put a down payment on a condo. I had a good amount saved up. Lacey said she couldn't take my money. I said it's a loan and you pay me back after the wedding when you and Owen are settled. She hugged me and said I was the best friend she'd ever had. Over the next 4 months, I gave Lacey money in chunks. The first amount was for the venue deposit, then another for the caterer, then the florist, then the band, then the photographer. Every single time she said, I'll pay you back after the wedding, I promise. I kept a running total in my head. By the time the wedding was 2 weeks out, I had given Lacey just under $9,000. That was more than half of what I had saved for my condo. I gave it to her because she was my best friend for over a decade, and I trusted her the same way I trusted my own family. The wedding was in June. I was the maid of honor. I gave a speech about how Lacey was the most loyal person I'd ever known, and how Owen was lucky to have her. I meant every word of it. The wedding was beautiful. Everything she wanted, the garden, the band, the flowers, all of it paid for in large part by me. Lacey cried during the vows and I cried during my speech, and everyone said it was the best wedding they'd been to in years. After the wedding, Lacey and Owen went on a honeymoon to this resort town up the coast for a week. When she got back, I gave her a couple weeks to settle in before I brought up the money. I texted her and said, hey, I know you're still getting back to normal, but when you get a chance, can we talk about a repayment plan for the wedding stuff? She didn't respond for 2 days. Then she sent back a short message that said, things are really tight right now. Can we talk about it later? I said, sure, no rush. A month went by. I brought it up again. Same response. Things are tight. I said, okay, but can we at least set a timeline so I can plan around it? She left me on red. Another month went by and I was starting to get nervous because I had drained my savings and my condo plan was completely stalled. I called her. She didn't pick up. I called again the next day. Nothing. I texted her and said, Lacey, I need to talk to you about this. Please just call me. She finally called me back 3 days later and her tone was completely different. She said, I think there was a miscommunication. I said, what do you mean? She said, I always understood that money to be a gift. My stomach dropped. I said, Lacey, you told me multiple times you would pay me back. You said the word loan. You said, I promise. She said, I think you're remembering it wrong and that she never would have accepted that much money if it came with strings attached. I said, $9,000 is not a gift between friends. That is a loan, and you know it. She said she was sorry I felt that way, and that maybe we should take some space. I said I don't need space, I need my money. She said she didn't have it, and hung up. I tried calling back, and it went straight to voicemail. I texted her 4 times over the next week and got nothing back. Then I realized she had blocked my number. I tried reaching her through our mutual friend B. I told B what happened and asked her to pass along a message. B got quiet, and then said Lacey already told her about the situation. I asked what Lacey said. B said Lacey told everyone that I had offered to pay for parts of the wedding as a gift, and that I was now trying to hold it over her head and make her feel guilty. I could not believe what I was hearing. Then one night B called me and said she had been at a dinner with Lacey